could there ever be another person like Sam Shepard?
Well, pretty much so. I mean, one of a kind, really. He's a very influential guy in my life, you know, really do miss him. He was a good friend and brilliant guy, and
you know, he's an upstanding, you know, he's a solid citizen, really cares about what he does in the football team. He's got a winning tradition there at the school. He stands for a lot in the town.
Ed Harris doesn't act, he inhabits. For 4 decades, he's been Hollywood's most committed shapeshifter, disappearing so completely into characters that the man himself becomes an afterthought.
I've stayed alive for you, but now you have to let me go.
When cameras roll, Ed Harris ceases to exist. Watch him paint Jackson Pollock's fury onto canvas. See him embody John Glenn's astronaut precision. Witness him channel madness, genius, and everything between with surgical accuracy. Harris doesn't perform roles. He becomes them through sheer force of will and obsessive preparation that borders on possession. Behind those penetrating blue eyes burns something rare in modern Hollywood. Pure dedication to craft over commerce. Harris has never chased fame or courted popularity. He hunted truth with the relentless focus of a bloodhound tracking scent through dangerous terrain. But here's what separates Harris from other method devotees. He doesn't just study technique, he is studying for his masters. For decades, he's been quietly cataloging performers who share his appetite for total immersion. Actors who understand that great art requires great sacrifice. These aren't his drinking buddies or networking contacts. They're the artists who prove that mediocrity is a choice, that comfort is the enemy of greatness, and that some roles demand you risk everything to deserve them. Here are the 6 actors Ed Harris respects above all others. The ones who taught him that acting isn't about pretending to be someone else, it's about finding that someone else inside yourself. 6. Dustin Hoffman. Ed Harris recognized a fellow obsessive the first time he watched Dustin Hoffman disappear into a role. Here was someone who understood that good enough was the enemy of transcendent, that comfort zones were places where art went to die. Hoffman operated with the relentless precision of a scientist conducting life or death experiments. Harris watched him prepare for roles like a general planning military campaigns. Every gesture was researched, every vocal inflection tested, every emotional beat was mapped and remapped until perfection became inevitable. What connected Harris to Hoffman wasn't their shared intensity, it was their willingness to be hated for their dedication. Both men had reputations for being difficult, demanding, uncompromising. Harris saw those criticisms as badges of honor. Hoffman taught him that artistic integrity often required social sacrifice. Behind cameras, Hoffman maintained the same exhausting standards that marked his performances. He'd reshoot scenes until crews wanted to revolt, push directors past their comfort zones, and interrogate every creative choice until it served the story's highest purpose. Harris admired that kind of beautiful stubbornness. Their approaches differed in execution, but shared identical philosophy. Where Harris transformed physically, Hoffman transformed psychologically. Both men understood that surface changes meant nothing without internal revolution. They were archaeologists of human behavior, digging until they struck emotional bedrock. What Harris respected most was Hoffman's refusal to apologize for caring too much. In an industry that often rewarded mediocrity with massive paychecks, Hoffman insisted on excellence regardless of cost. For Harris, Hoffman represented the road less traveled, the proof that some actors would rather fail attempting greatness than succeed at anything less. 5. Jack Nicholson. Ed Harris discovered the value of controlled chaos through Jack Nicholson. Though calling anything about Nicholson controlled feels like missing the point entirely. Here was an actor who turned unpredictability into high art, madness into method. What fascinated Harris wasn't Nicholson's famous volatility, it was his calculated spontaneity. Every seemingly improvised moment had been earned through years of understanding character psychology so thoroughly that surprises felt inevitable rather than accidental. Nicholson taught Harris that preparation could liberate rather than restrict creative instincts. Harris studied Nicholson's fearless embrace of unlikable characters. While other actors sought audience sympathy, Nicholson pursued emotional honesty regardless of consequences. His villains were magnetic because they were authentic. His heroes were flawed because real people always are. Behind scenes, Nicholson maintained the same electric unpredictability that marked his performances. Professional but dangerous, collaborative but uncontainable. Harris appreciated his refusal to diminish himself for others' comfort. Nicholson proved that great actors could be difficult people without apologizing for their complexity. What Harris respected most was Nicholson's courage to risk everything on bold choices. While others played safe, Nicholson gambled with his reputation on every role. He demonstrated that memorable performances required memorable risks. For Harris, Nicholson represented artistic fearlessness. The reminder that great acting sometimes meant jumping off cliffs and trusting talent to provide wings during the fall. 4. Meryl Streep. Harris encountered his greatest challenge in Meryl Streep, not because she was difficult to work with, but because she made his own meticulous preparation look amateur by comparison. Here was someone who redefined what thoroughness meant in pursuit of authentic performance. Streep operated on levels Harris hadn't imagined possible. While he researched characters, she became them from the cellular level up. Her accents weren't imitations but psychological transformations that changed how she thought, moved, and breathed. Harris watched her work and realized he'd been playing in shallow water. What humbled Harris was Streep's effortless mastery of technical elements he struggled to achieve. She could access any emotion on demand while maintaining perfect dialect consistency. Her preparation was so complete that spontaneity emerged naturally rather than feeling forced or artificial. Behind cameras, Streep maintained professional standards that elevated everyone around her. No ego, no drama, just relentless commitment to serving each story's deepest truths. Harris admired her ability to remain generous while pursuing personal excellence. Their limited interactions revealed Streep's genuine curiosity about other actors' processes. She asked questions that revealed her continued growth despite already achieving legendary status. That humility impressed Harris more than any award or accolade. What Harris respected most was Streep's refusal to repeat herself. Each role demanded complete reinvention rather than comfortable repetition of proven formulas. She proved that great actors stayed students throughout their careers. Streep taught Harris that preparation was infinite. There was always another layer to excavate, another truth to discover, another boundary to push. For Harris, Streep represented the summit of craft, the unreachable standard that kept him climbing. 3. Robert De Niro. Ed Harris found his spiritual mentor in Robert De Niro, though neither man would describe their relationship in such sentimental terms. De Niro represented something Harris craved, the ability to vanish so completely that audiences forgot they were watching an actor perform. What distinguished De Niro wasn't his famous method approach. It was his surgical precision in selecting which elements of himself to sacrifice for each character. Harris watched De Niro gain 60 pounds for Raging Bull and understood that true commitment required physical courage alongside emotional vulnerability. De Niro operated with the discipline of a monk pursuing enlightenment. His preparation rituals became legendary because they produced results that seemed almost supernatural. Harris studied those techniques like gospel, learning that research wasn't just homework, but spiritual practice. Behind cameras, De Niro maintained the same intensity that marked his performances. Minimal conversation, maximum focus. He treated every take like it might be his last opportunity to capture something essential. Harris appreciated that kind of urgent professionalism. Their parallel careers created unspoken understanding. Both men chose difficult projects over easy paychecks. Both pursued characters that demanded total transformation rather than comfortable repetition. Neither apologized for making collaborators work harder. What Harris respected most was De Niro's evolution without compromise. From young rebel to elder statesman, he maintained identical standards while exploring different territories. He proved that great actors could age without diminishing. De Niro taught Harris that method acting wasn't about suffering for art. It was about finding truth through whatever means necessary. For Harris, De Niro represented pure dedication, the proof that obsession could produce transcendence. 2. Jessica Lange. Ed Harris discovered his creative equal in Jessica Lange, though their partnership transcended professional collaboration into something more complex and essential. Here was someone who matched his intensity while bringing her own brand of fearless intelligence to every project. What captivated Harris wasn't Lange's beauty or talent alone. Lange operated with surgical precision disguised as intuitive grace. Harris watched her prepare with the same obsessive attention to detail he brought to his own work. But she made the process look effortless. Her research was exhaustive, her commitment absolute. Yet she never let preparation calcify into rigid performance. Behind cameras, Lange challenged Harris's assumptions about the creative process. Where he bulldozed through obstacles, she found subtle paths around them. She taught him that strength could whisper instead of shout, that vulnerability was just another form of courage. Their collaborations revealed Lange's gift for elevating everyone around her. She never competed for screen space or emotional territory. 1. Gene Hackman. Ed Harris found his blueprint for authentic masculinity in Gene Hackman. Though calling Hackman a role model feels inadequate for describing such profound influence. Here was someone who proved that great acting came from sweat, not swagger, from honest work rather than hollow charisma. What drew Harris to Hackman wasn't star power or technique. It was his blue-collar approach to craft. Hackman treated acting like skilled labor, showing up prepared, doing the work without complaint, and leaving ego in the parking lot. He demonstrated that professionalism was just another word for respect. Hackman taught Harris that star quality wasn't about commanding attention. It was about deserving it. He proved that audiences would follow anyone brave enough to be genuinely human on screen. For Harris, Hackman represented everything acting should be: honest, unpretentious, and absolutely committed to serving stories larger than personal ambition. The master craftsman who made difficult work look effortless. Ed Harris built a career on total immersion. These 6 actors taught him that greatness wasn't about losing yourself in roles. It was about finding pieces of yourself you never knew existed. That discovery never ends.